Good morning everybody, this is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. It's October the 12th and we're looking at 1 Timothy chapter 3, and in this particular passage Paul speaks about two offices in the church, and he talks about the work of the overseer and also the work of a deacon. And then he speaks about church members in a general sense at the end. The important thing to notice here is that Paul speaks specifically about two of the offices of the church. Two of the offices of the church. Now there are people that suggest that there's a whole raft of offices in the church, but I would suggest that there are really just two. There is the work of the overseer, and there is the work of a deacon. Now you say, what's the difference between the two? Well, they're both servants of the Lord. They're both servants of the assembly, but the one, the overseer, is a person who looks after the spiritual welfare of the believers in the church. He is a preacher or a teacher or both, and he ministers to people in spiritual matters. Now the deacon is no less a person in the church than an overseer, except that he doesn't have the responsibilities for spiritual welfare. His work is the care of the believers in the matters of this life. So he might, for example, be the person that looks after charity for the poor, as the original 7 deacons were, or he might have a multitude of other tasks to fulfill on behalf of the church. Both of them have the same spiritual qualifications. Both of them are to be blameless in the world and to be men of deep godliness and sincerity and honesty in the work of the Lord. It's just that the deacons serve the Lord in terms of the deacons serve the Lord in the assembly in terms of matters of things like mundane matters, so things like cleaning, things like looking after the building. They may have other duties. They may, for example, look after the money. They may be treasurer. They may be chairman of meetings. They may be leader of the musicians, or they might be a musician. There might be a Sunday school teacher. There's a whole realm of work in a church for a deacon to do. And of course in Scripture we're very clear that there can be deaconesses as well. However, the work of the overseer, or as we generally know it, the work of the elder or the pastor or the evangelist, these are works, these are offices that are specific to the preaching of the word. It might be the preaching of the word within the assembly for spiritual edification, or it might be the preaching of the word outside of the assembly to evangelize the unsaved. So totally different ministries there. You've got the work of the evangelist and the pastor. You also have other mixes in the mix. For example, we might talk about a church planter. Well, a church planter is both an evangelist and a pastor together, because as they're starting a new church, evangelism will be one of the main priorities, but there will also need to be pastoral work done, and often a church planter takes on these double roles, and he may even all at the same time do the work of the deacon. In a lot of church planting situations there's a lack of personnel, and so often the church planter will have multiple roles. And then of course we have the work of the missionary. Now the missionary is someone that goes to foreign fields to preach the gospel and to minister to the believers there, or also to minister to the unbelievers there. So he also might be a person that has the church planter role. On the other hand, the missionary may not be like that at all. He just may be a Bible teacher. But there's lots of other roles. For example, we might have a person who is in church fellowship who is a leader of a college, or even a teacher in a college, or they might be a nurse in a Christian college, or they might be a teacher in a secular school, but for the Lord in a foreign country. And so we can see that there becomes a whole multitude of roles. But even though there is a multitude of roles, it still in the end only comes down to two offices: the office of the overseer and the office of the deacon. The deacon serves the church in practical matters. The overseer, he serves the church too, but his main responsibility and duty is to care for the flock, is to pastor them in their needs, or to evangelize, or to lead the church in its evangelism. One of the great problems that churches face today is this: is that churches understand an overseer's board. They understand a board of elders. They understand that there should be elders in a church, and God always raises up a plurality of elders so that this great burden, this great responsibility is not shouldered by just one person. The reason why they're referred to as an elder is because this is a person of older years. It's a person of maturity, a person of experience, not only of life but of the Lord, a person who is deeply, deeply godly, deeply prayerful, and is a person that is respected, somebody that the church can go to and seek their advice. That's the point. And he is a person that is trusted, a person that people look up to, a person that is godly in the church. And there may be a lot of people that are elders in the church. There's no room for the type of ministry in which one man dominates. That's not the scriptural rule at all. Everywhere in Scripture where we see the role of the elder described, it's always in the plural. Now I know that a lot of churches have just one minister or one pastor. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having one person who takes the lead. But behind him there will be a whole team of elders, and there will be a whole team of deacons that will work together in harmony to run the church. You may be asking, what's my password for today? Well, my password is this. It says in verse 1, this is a true saying. You see, in the early church there were lots of sayings that went about. You look on the internet today and you'll see little quips and little proverbs. Sometimes they're scriptural, sometimes they've been made up by people. But these proverbs, these little sayings, were the currency of the day. People said them a lot. They were proverbs. But Paul says this is a true saying. He's quoting a saying in the church, and he says, if a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. By the way, don't be thrown by that word bishop. The word bishop in Scripture, in the Authorized Version, is only there because of pressure from the bishops of the day when the Authorized Version was translated. They wanted their office to be put. The word bishop there shouldn't really be bishop in English. It should be overseer. A person that looks after, a shepherd, one who looks after the flock, one who cares and protects and feeds. So if a man desire the office of an overseer, he desireth a good work. You see, it is an office, there's no question about that, but it's more than an office. It is a work to be done. Well, God bless you. Look forward to speaking to you all again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.